Hello everyone. So today I wanted to give a very powerful secret into how do you charge whatever you want for your service. Like how do you do that? Now this video is not for you if you do not want to go deep into the human psyche to understand how money and value of self in an entrepreneur's life works. So you can swipe right through if you're not into it, because this will be going into it. So I don't want to have the wrong audience watching it. Okay, so now on to it. So now, what does it mean to charge something in the first place, right? What does it mean to charge something for your service? Now, the two most important things you need to be asking yourself when you're charging for anything that you provide as an entrepreneur is, am I sharing my expansion with the outside world and expecting monetary gains in return? Or am I compromising, or am I like holding on to something and compromising my time and effort, which could have been spent somewhere else, and then expecting something in return? Because this makes the whole difference about charging. This is actually the benchmark at which, I mean, it might not make much sense in if you look at it at a minor scale. That is like you're looking at it at for a week or for a month. But when you look at it at a long term, over a year or a while, this is going to be the scale at which you're going to actually see yourself scaling or growing. Is like, am I in a momentum in my life where I am sharing that which I am shedding naturally, and somebody else is benefiting from that, and then they are reimbursing me with money or monetary gains? If that is the case, congratulations, because you're on a uphill strike. But if you are compromising on something, that is, that you feel like if there was no money constraint on you, if there was no pressure on you at all, you would not be doing this. If you feel that, that means you're actually charging. And when you start to charge money for something, you fall under the value cycle. And that means that if you fall under a value cycle, then you're into the rat race. And if you're into the rat race, you know what it is. You're into competition, and you're always into somebody who is willing to sell him or herself much lower than what you are willing to sell yourself. That's where the disgust comes in. So, in order to avoid that, you want to be expressing yourself, and people need to be buying the stuff that is naturally coming as an outcome of shedding. Now, let me come to the sun, and then I'll come to a more human context. Now, as the sun is growing, or like the sun is shining brighter and brighter and brighter, it's shedding off its energy, which is coming out in the form of light, and it's coming to all the living beings on Earth and all the other planets in the solar system. Now, as that's happening, that light is being received, and procreation happens, and life forms grow. But since the sun is expanding and expressing its vitality and energy anyways, it doesn't matter if it's received or not. It was doing it anyways. Like if there was no living beings, it'll still be doing it. So that is the state you want to be at, is that you want to be attuned to yourself in such a natural fashion that you would be doing this anyways. So when you're doing this anyways, what happens is, like, you're in your own momentum of doing something. You're in your own momentum, which is not how do you put it, it's not defined by something from the outside. That is, that nobody's asked you to do it, or that if you didn't do it, nothing would change anyways. That's just your natural form. That's the way you behave when nobody's watching. That's the way you are when nothing is around as well. You'll still be doing it. So when you are doing something like that, and when you so-called charge for your service, or should I say that when people pay you for the service, you can literally charge as much as you want, because it doesn't matter. Now I'm not propagating anarchy. I'm not propagating that you overprice yourself. I'm just saying that no matter what you're setting as a barrier of charge doesn't affect you at all, because you do not feel like that is your value. Now it could be $100, it could be like 10K for, yeah, for participating with you, for your services. But it is not it's not defining you. Like, money defines people. It defines their value. It defines the way they feel about themselves. They feel, if they are charging $10,000 for something that they provide, they feel that's their value. They feel they're worth that much. And if that goes down to, say, $1,000, they feel like their value is reduced. But if you follow the first case, that is not going to be happening. You're not going to feel devalued. And when you do not feel devalued is when you have the confidence to charge whatever you want, because you know that you are just you're not actually charging, you're just expressing yourself, and people are buying into your expression because they love how you are. So they're not exactly buying into what you do, because doing is an action, while being is a little bit more connected with presence or with the universe itself. So they're just buying into the fact that you are this way. Now, that is the state that you want to be at, because that is a non-survival state. That's your natural default setting. So at the default setting, people are buying into you. That's the way you want to set up your entrepreneurial anything, whether you're setting up your website, whether you're setting up your service, whether you're setting up your funnels, whether you're setting up the way that you are interacting with your clients, the way that you're moving about every day. You want to set it up in a way that they are connected to the most natural part of you, because that's going to be the most easiest thing to scale. Now let me go to the other side. Now, if you were already if you're already how do you say, passionate about something, and you are compromising that in order to make money, or in order to in order to make money, or in order to make ends meet, or in order to uh, fulfill your needs. Now what happens is that you happen to set a price. Now this is very different from the first instance, because in the first instance you're expressing yourself, people are paying for that. You would be doing it even if they're not paying. Now the second instance, you would not be doing it if nobody's paying. You would not be doing. Why? Because you would feel it's a waste of your time, which could have been spent doing step number one. You would have been rather in the first example of the sun, where you would have been expressing yourself or being natural. For a lot of people, that just means spending time with their family, or being with their kids, or doing their hobbies, or whatever it is. For me, it's doing my music. And so so if you're in the second boat, you need to really reconsider if that's how you're starting off your entrepreneurial journey, which is based on crisis and it's based on like scarcity. You really need to reconsider, because over a period of time you would not be able to scale the way that you see a lot of people scaling. It's not going to be possible, or it's at least going to be extremely hard. And not just that, there's going to be so many mental issues coming up, because it's not done in the right way. So what does it mean by it's not done in the right way? Is that if you are feeling like, if nobody is how do you say, if they do not pay a certain amount, it is not worth my time. If you're especially feeling this, and I mean, to feel it on a minor level is okay, but if you're like constantly feeling this, that I need to I need to be charged this much for what I'm offering, otherwise it's not worth it, otherwise it's not worth getting into it. If you're entering with this mentality, which is a scarcity mentality, scaling is not going to be easy, and eventually you'll not be able to charge whatever you want. Why? Because you are going to be dictated by the competition around you. Now, what does competition mean? Competition actually means that there's actually nobody outside of us. To be honest, there's really nobody outside of us. Competition just means that the part of you that you compromised with your original self, the part of you that you have chosen now to enter this marketplace to make money, which is against your aligned self, that part of you now multiplies and creates a mirage or illusions that there are other little parts or other little entities who are out to get you by charging lesser than you, which means that you have devalued yourself from your original value. And now the competition, so called, you see around you are people who are devaluing themselves even lower than what you already have devalued. So now, in order to catch up with that so called competition, which was a mirage in your head in the first place, you will have to devalue yourself even more. You'll have to offer a better rate, which means more compromise from your original self in order to compete with them. And the more you do that, if you're feeling more and more drained, it really means like you are totally into the second boat, which is not a good place to be. And that you really need to start coming back to the first place, that you really need to start reimagining or rethinking what you're selling, what you're offering, and that it needs to be more aligned with who you are without anybody looking at you. Would you be doing that even if there's nobody buying? Would you be doing that even if you will sometimes do it for free? Would you still be doing it? Do you enjoy the act of actually doing it? That is the question you need to ask. Because if you do, if you are on the first boat where whatever someone's paying for you is an extension of an expression that you would be doing anyways, eventually over time you'll be able to charge anything you want, whatever you want. That is the state that you kind of want to be in. And because you realize as an entrepreneur in 2023, with so many online services, with so much happening, a lot of value is imaginary. Unless it's an actual physical product which is going through manufacturing and has things going on there. Even in those cases, a lot of the prices are imaginary. That is, they have been pumped up to an imaginary level depending on what you feel is the value for it. A lot of coaching, not a lot, all of coaching services that you see, there's just so many coaches right everywhere. So all of that you see is basically just imaginary values set on someone, that this guy's worth 100k or this guy's worth 1,000 or 100. It's just an imaginary value set on their time or on their service. Now, if they are expressing it naturally, which a lot of people are, if they're expressing it naturally, you will be more attuned or aligned with what's your true purpose on earth. Because if you're attuned and aligned with what's your true purpose on earth, this value is not dictated by an external situation at all. You are not into the matrix. You're not into the matrix of the price that something has. If you're able to do something for $5,000 and you're able to also do that for free just because you enjoy it so much, that is the state at which it can sometimes go to 3,000, it can sometimes go to 7,000, but you do not feel valued by it. By valued, I mean that you do not feel like that is what defines your value. Because once you start feeling that this is what defines my value, this is my service, and this is what defines my value, nobody's actually underpaying you. You yourself have decided that because I want to compromise my original self for money, I am willing to stoop down to this level, and at that level, that is the price range. So that is how a price range is actually set. So if you want to be in a fluctuating entrepreneurial economy where scaling is absolutely possible and absolutely easy, and you can charge however you want according to how you interpret it at that time, your service, you want to be in the first place, that is in the first boat. That is, you want to be in a place where whatever you're offering has to be the most natural thing for you, has to be the thing which you could be doing anyways, which you enjoy doing even for free. If you can find something, or if you're already doing something, if you could just tweak it to a point where it's more and more enjoyable for you to do that, and if you're feeling like, oh damn, this session's getting over, I wish there was like 5 more minutes. If you're feeling that at the end of a session which you're offering, it could be literally anything, right? It could be coaching, it could be yoga, it could be a massage, it could literally be anything that you're offering. If you feel like, oh, I wish there were 5 minutes more, I feel that all the time when I'm playing my guitar or having a production session, or when I'm doing a guitar session for someone. Yeah, I feel that, oh shit, I hope there were 10 minutes more so I could like refine it a little bit more. It's not that I'm going to get paid for 10 minutes more, but it's, if you're leaving a session feeling that there was a little bit more of time so I could express more, that's the point at which you are in a space where you're not valuing yourself on money at all. You're not valuing yourself. You're not in that matrix. So when you're not in the matrix, you can scale as much as you want. You can literally, the sky's the limit. And that's the state that you want to be at. So I hope this makes sense. And I will be going a little bit more so-called practical and humanish in the next one. Because, yeah, it just makes it more relatable, right? And more easier to understand. So in the next one, I'm going to break down about the actual value, about at what point do you say no to something, and at what point do you say yes to something. I'm going to be going a little bit more into that, and resilience, and about identifying this within yourself with more practical examples as well. So stay tuned. I'll catch you in the next one.